Currently doing the Passion and Warfare anniversary dates. How did it feel to revisit those old tunes again? Some of which you haven't played live ever.
Yeah. It's something that's always kind of floated in the back of my mind, to do this whole record. But the prospect was a little frightening, because when I make a record, a lot of times, well, the way I make a record is I construct it. I don't usually cut tracks and jam it and stuff like that. You know, I have a vision, and it's more compositional than visceral.
Yeah.
You know, so and back then I was experimenting a lot with production, so I was using things that would be very difficult to reproduce live. But I knew that it was possible somehow, and when the idea to do this tour came up, I just listened to it, and I you know, we built backing tracks to fill out certain things. But after learning it all, I thought, well, what was I afraid of? You know? And it's really nice to revisit something that you've done creatively many years ago, because you get to see a little bit of who you were then.
Yeah.
You know, and the person that I see was, I mean, he's still in here, because you always build on who you were. But the cool thing was to see how courageous I was and fearless in chasing exciting ideas that at the time may not have necessarily had a place in the mainstream. You know?
Was it something personally that you wanted to do, or was it maybe suggested to you?
Well, you're a writer, right?
Yeah.
So you do jobs that you know you can do, and you know you can be really effective at, but perhaps someplace lurking in the back of your mind is a story or a book that you would like to write, that you don't care if it's successful or not, you just need to write it. You know what I mean? So that was Passion and Warfare.
Any abiding memories of recording the album?
Many. But what kind of memories?
What stands out? I mean, was it, you indicated earlier there was things that you wanted to create a sound, anything that you did differently from, I mean, you were on Whitesnake at the time, were you not, or had you left Whitesnake?
No, I was working on Passion and Warfare through the Dave Roth years.
Yeah, okay.
And then when I had joined Whitesnake, that's when I started to complete the record. And the record came out when I was on tour with Whitesnake. And it all worked out really great. I mean, David Coverdale was the first person I actually played Passion and Warfare for. And I thought that, you know, the record was obscure and it would never really be received. And, you know, I said that to David, and he said, "Stephen, darling, you're absolutely incorrect. This is a brilliant record, and you are going to be very surprised at the results."
He did give you an opportunity to have a solo spot.
He was incredibly
on
generous.
That tour.
Yeah, he was incredibly generous on the entire Whitesnake tour. He gave me enough rope to hang myself every night. But your original question was there anything, you know, what were the outstanding moments? And I'll tell you what they were. And they may seem a little obtuse, but before I made Passion and Warfare, I made Flexible.
Yeah.
But I continued recording, and that became, and I just recently finished that material that I was working on after Passion and Warfare, after Flexible and before Passion and Warfare, and that's called Modern Primitive, and that comes out with Passion and Warfare, and it's one of my favorite records I ever made, you know.
Right.
But the thing that that really I didn't have an opportunity to do all the way up through or up to Passion and Warfare was totally complete my ideas.
Yeah.
Because I was always going from one gig to another. And as much as I enjoyed those other gigs, when I was working on Passion and Warfare, it was the first time since Flexible that I was able to engage myself in an exciting musical idea and then complete it and experience it. So as I was completing and experiencing the pieces of music that I was recording for Passion and Warfare, the experience of the completion of the idea was the high point. That was the surprise every time. That was the high, that was the thing I remember the most. Sure, there's a lot of things that I can talk about the recording process, and I can tell you, well, this happened when this guy came in, and this and that, but really the experience of listening back to something that I imagined and actually feeling as though the final product had surpassed my expectations, that's the shit, man.
Yeah. When you joined Whitesnake, was it on the understanding that would be a short-term thing? I mean, obviously Adrian had laid down the guitar tracks for the album. I just wondered.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
But my instincts were that this is David Coverdale's band, and it will go through many transformations as it had. Because, Whitesnake was continually transforming, but David Coverdale is the kingpin.
Yeah.
And he is Whitesnake. So I thought that, it would be a nice opportunity to, play with a great group of guys, and David especially, because he's just incredible, And, but as far as making it a career, it didn't seem likely to me because of all these other musical ideas I had going on. But it was never, it was never out of my comfort zone to consider that all of the people I've worked with in the past, I may continue to do things with. I mean, Devin Townsend just did a song on my record that it's brilliant, his contribution. I just saw David Coverdale the other day, and we
saw that, yeah.
And it was like
he's doing the greatest hits thing. So
he's doing great, and he wanted to contribute to this show because I have videos and I have people from the past, and friends of mine in the video that I perform with.
Yeah.
So I did a wonderful little version of a Whitesnake song, but I was so crunched for time in putting this tour together that I didn't get to complete everything. And although David is interested in doing it, it's just figuring out the logistics. So that's an opportunity to continue.
Yeah.
And I almost did a gig with Dave Roth not too long ago.
Lead on to my next question. You played with David Coverdale, you played with David Lee Roth. Do you ever see that idea of you performing in a band with a known vocalist could be something that you'd welcome again?
Well, I wouldn't unwelcome it, but it would have to be an extraordinary situation in order for me to apply a lot of time to it. Because when I was 12 years old and I heard Led Zeppelin, that was a game changer. I mean, Jimmy Page's whole MO had a huge impact on me. And I loved the idea of being the guy on the side with the lead singer. So that was the formula I stuck to for many years. And I was very comfortable with it. Even after Passion and Warfare, the idea of going out there and fronting the band was not very comfortable to me. Yeah. So, and that's why when I did Sex and Religion, I had another singer. It was Devin. But then I warmed up to it and I did it and I realized I enjoy this very much. I like being in the front. I can do it. And I'm relatively effective. So that's what I prefer now. Having said that, I'm not opposed to working with a lead singer if the right situation came along, but forming a supergroup and all that, I'm totally uninterested in.
You seem to have a very strong work ethic. I just wondered is music everything, or do you actually have time for outside interests and hobbies?
Well, music isn't my life.
Right.
Music is something I do in life. Life is something much deeper than what you do in it.
Yeah.
And although most of my time is focused on creating music, which I love, I love everything I do. Yesterday, my wife and I walked all around Newcastle. I enjoyed that Manchester here.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I enjoyed that as much as I would have enjoyed sitting home and making music. And then we went to the movies. I enjoyed that as much as anything. And then when I got home, it was funny because we're walking and we were talking about the set and how I could use a couple of more songs that are in a particular way, you know. And I said, well, I'm going to write a song as soon as I get to our room. And I picked up the guitar and I wrote a really cool song, so I got to experience music there. And, you know, it's a mindset. You know, it's a mindset that I've worked on. And that mindset is just figure out how to enjoy anything you're doing in any given moment.
Seem generally laid back, easygoing, chilled sort of a guy. I just wonder what annoys or angers you.
Well, those
Maybe
those
should
things.
ask you this.
She leaves the cabinets open. No, I'm kidding. It's changed. Throughout my life, there were various things that would cause great frustrations and anger and all this stuff and impatience. But I realize that all of those feelings are a form of suffering. You know, and the only thing that causes suffering in anybody's life is the quality of the thoughts that they choose to think. Now it's a spiritual discovery, really. Yeah. You know, it's like mindfulness. And I just decided that I came to the realization that what I want in life is the same thing that everybody on the planet wants. Peace. Just to feel good and to be happy. So, but whenever anybody approaches that idea, there's always a but. I want peace, but so-and-so and so-and-so won't allow it in my life, or this situation I'm in. Sure. That's all based on just thoughts in your head. So really, if you want peace, you have to be able to separate yourself from the thoughts in your head and look at them and discover ways of changing them. That's what real courage is. It's hard because we're caught in thought patterns. So when you say what angers me, almost nothing, because I see and I still feel anger sometimes, but when I feel it, I look at the thoughts that are creating it. And this is a practice, and I've been practicing it for many years. And I realize, as good as it feels sometimes to feel angry, because it's the ego gratification, it always ends up in suffering. So I realize that I just don't want that in my life. I don't want to feel anger. Anger is really just another face of fear. Any kind of frustration or anything like that is just another face of fear. And it's all ego-based. So in order for me to come to grips with peace, even saying to you, nothing angers me, points me in that direction.
Okay. You've achieved so much in your career. I just wondered if you still have hopes, dreams, and ambitions.
Yes, but they're not my primary concern.
Yeah.
My primary focus in life is whatever I'm doing in this moment. You know what I mean? Finding enjoyment in this moment. Everything else is secondary, because there's no end to dreams and desires. Dreams and desires are creative impulses. Do you know what I mean? That's all a dream and a desire is really a creative impulse. And that's what we're here for, to be creative. The universe is expanding in many ways, and one of its ways is through us and our creations. It's so stupid, it's obvious. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, we come from the universe. We're not separate from it. And everything we do is an extension of it. And there's never going to be a shortage of desires in you. But the thing that, the thing that one needs to be aware of is being so attached to a desire that it's who you are.
Future plans then, musically and touring? I understand you have another album.
It never ends. Well, I have a new record coming out with Passion and Warfare. It's called Modern Primitive.
Yeah.
It's new to fans, you know,
something that you've been
some of it was recorded back in 30 years ago, and the majority, and then it was completed recently, and much of it was re-recorded now. But after that, I mean, I have a lot of, you know, you said, do I still have desires? Oh, tremendous amounts of, I have lists upon lists upon lists of things I'd love to do. And when you're young, you make these lists and you have all these desires, and you're really eager to complete them. But, you know, then probably when I turned 50, I realized that each one of these desires could take anywhere from a month to 2 years to complete. And I'm saying, oh, there's enough here for 4 lifetimes, you know?
These Passion and Warfare dates, are you extending them all around the world?
Not really. I'm doing a relatively condensed European tour and American tour, because it's more of a legacy tour. You know, I don't want to be that guy that just, you know, rehashing his days of yore.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.